Hello friends, welcome to LUKMAAN IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 25th May 2021. Let us see which are the important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. Yes, these are the important articles for mains purpose and for prelims purpose. Let us take overview of all these articles. Character challenge. So the article on page number 6, editorial page. The context here is that recently central government had ordered the Twitter microblogging website or the company to remove the tag given to different posts by the BJP workers. Okay, so this is how the article is discussing that the government is actually not working towards strengthening the democracy. It is against the democracy and it is not having tolerance towards dissent. Okay, at the same time, what are the sequence of incidences that happened, we are going to understand and then analyze what is this issue from polity and governance perspective. Next, a September exit, Afghanistan at the crossroads. On page number 6, this particular article on editorial page, it is talking about Afghanistan peace process at present, what is the situation in this peace process, and yes, different stakeholders, their interest and concerns associated with pursuing their interests. So all these aspects are covered in this article. Yes, there is a repetition. Earlier also we discussed about this, the US Armed Forces withdrawal by 11th September in a phased manner. So yes, this is very important for our mains examination, GS2 paper, international relations. Then there is one article on page number 7, the reforms needed for POCSO Act. Here we are going to take input about this POCSO Act, its provisions for prelims examination. Through mains examination, there is only one point that is discussed in that article. It is talking about the recognition to those sexual offences which happened in the past, okay, or we can say long way back, and it is not being recognized by this act. So this is how the reforms are needed, the article is talking, but it is largely important for our prelims examination at present. Yes, high powered panel meets to choose next CBI director. So yes, the CBI director and its appointment committee consisting of 3 members. So all this appointments committee, selection committee and basics about Central Bureau of Investigation, CBI, this is important for our prelims examination, right. And lastly, some COVID-19 related developments at national stage and cyclone Yas related developments. We are having the follow up on daily basis and daily prelims MCQs that we are giving you for practice purpose on that day's current affairs, on the basis of that day's current affairs. Okay, let us go into details of all these articles one by one, but before that let me tell you that many students may be finding this discussion as a one-way communication, and that's why those who are following this daily The Hindu analysis lectures, I would like to ask them, you can ask your questions, doubt in the comment box, and next day we will try to address these doubts and questions in the classroom itself. Okay, yes. Let us go into details. First articles, character challenge. The context of this article is centers directive, or we can say that order to Twitter company to remove manipulated media tags on certain posts of the BJP workers or functionaries. What happened actually is some of the BJP functionaries circulated a toolkit of Congress, a toolkit prepared by the Congress to disparage government. Now, yes, the concept toolkit was earlier also in news in Disha Ravi case. If you remember, the climate activist from Bangalore that Delhi police had arrested at that time. Right. So, toolkit is basically the details of do's and don'ts regarding any kind of protest on social media platform. Okay. So, yes, this is generally followed by non-governmental organizations to arrange the protest all over the country, all over the world. So, yes, such toolkit was circulated by BJP functionaries. However, yes, we have to understand that this toolkit is now tagged as manipulated media by Twitter. Why? We have to understand this. Okay, so Congress has alleged or filed the police complaint that BJP functionaries forged the document that does not exist. It has also written Twitter to permanently suspend the accounts of those who circulated the forged document. Why Congress is saying that it is forged document? Because such toolkit was prepared by Congress for internal purpose, and that too related to this Central Vista project. Okay. However, this toolkit is modified by some, let's say, persons with vested interest, and some additional pages on COVID-19 were added here. This is not original toolkit that is prepared by Congress for its internal purpose. This is the allegations and the complaint. Okay, so BJP has failed to provide digital footprint or copies of what it called the COVID-19 toolkit. And yes, Twitter has not complied with the center's directive yet. That thing we have to understand. Earlier also there was spat between central government and Twitter regarding suspension of certain accounts which were following, or we can say promoting, certain hashtags against the image of the country. Okay. So yes, in analysis we have to understand the policy of Twitter company or this platform, microblogging platform. It has publicized the policy that it may label tweets that include media that can have deceptively altered or fabricated content. Okay, so this is the policy of Twitter, and this is fine, this is good thing that Twitter by itself, it could use its own mechanism or third party services to make that determination that whether particular content or media is fabricated or altered. Okay, so then the tag is given. Along with that, the IT Act that empowers the government to regulate content does not give it power to remove such kind of label or to order to remove such kind of labels by the company. Along with that, such kind of trend that the government is following, there is some kind of arbitrary censorship and lack of transparency involved in the functioning of the government. Right. So, this is how when the state is exercising the arbitrary powers in a democracy, that affects the democratic credentials of the government. That affects the democratic credentials of the government. Along with that, the basic tenet of democracy is that democracy is by descent. If the government that is given the power, or we can say that deriving powers from the constitution, and the constitution ultimately rests on the powers or rights given to the people, basically the democracy is by descent. It should be tolerant towards criticism, or the government or the state should be tolerant towards the variety of views, diverse views, criticism, and it should listen to the opposition rather than, we can say, such kind of censorship of all the criticisms against the government. Right. So, this is not good practice. You can give any such example instance when the essay topic is related to democracy. Okay. So, yes, in GS2 paper it is important. Polity and governance, also you can mention such kind of incident in essay paper also related to democracy. Okay. Then September exit, Afghanistan at the crossroad. The context, again, the Afghanistan peace process. Earlier we discussed many such articles. We have to understand what are the interests of different stakeholders in this Afghanistan peace process and India's interest and concerns associated with them. This is all we are going to discuss in this article. First thing, we have to understand at present what is the situation of this peace process. If we go to the recent background, February 2020. Okay, so in February 2020, the earlier president of US had signed the deal with Taliban. US-Taliban deal was finalized and signed. The power sharing was decided, and basically US agreed for providing or giving powers to the Taliban in the government of Afghanistan. And yes, in this process, along with that, the Taliban agreed to reduce the terrorist activities on the soils of Afghanistan. Okay, so this was the US Taliban deal of February 2020. Along with that, recently new US president announced that the withdrawal of US forces will be phase wise manner, and the ultimate date is decided as 11 September 2021 this year. Okay, so yes, US is insisting to follow this date even without any power sharing deal between the warring parties. Which are the warring parties? The Afghanistan government, okay, democratically elected government, and Taliban, which wants to share the power with the government. Okay, so what are the concerns? First thing is that the violence is increasing as US armed forces are withdrawing. Okay, so many instances of deadly attacks across its provinces are happening. Recent attacks on the schools in Kabul region or Kabul. So all these are showing that the violence is going to increase in future. This can be the tactics adopted by Taliban, showing that if its demands are not accepted, it may seek to take over the power by force also or by violence also. Yes, this is first aspect. Second concern is the role of Pakistan. As the chief sponsor of Taliban, Pakistan has important role to play in Afghanistan peace process. Okay, so yes, up till now Pakistan has been very important pivot for US to maintain peace in Afghanistan. It has used its armed bases, or we can say armed forces bases in Pakistan. Along with that, it has also helped US to remove the terrorist activities on the border between Pakistan and Afghanistan, right? So all these aspects are important for Pakistan, and Pakistan is not only using this good relationship with US for its own purpose, but also against India. Okay, so yes, along with that, Pakistan continues to have, let's say, some kind of deep hostility and mistrust with democratically elected government in Afghanistan. This is first concern. Second concern of Pakistan is that when US will withdraw from Afghanistan, what will happen is there are chances of increase in terrorist activities in Afghanistan, and that may have spillover effect in Pakistan also. So Pakistan is, let's say, facing such kind of threats in its law and order situation or violence in future, and therefore the peace in Afghanistan is in favor of Pakistan also, right? So these are the concerns for Pakistan. Other stakeholders, like, yes, dealing with Afghanistan president at present, US is trying to mold the views of Afghanistan president. Afghanistan president is of the view that there should be elections and the democratically elected government should rule the country. However, yes, the US is asking or pressurizing Mr. Ghani, the president at present, to dissolve his government and set up new interim government system that would include Taliban also, the new power sharing structure, without new elections. This is how the concerns for the elected government or democratic elected government of Afghanistan, and this is the issue. Then Taliban now draws support from wide variety of regional powers including Russia, China and Iran. However, these regional powers will only seek peace in Afghanistan and nearby region. For example, if you are talking about China, at present up till now, China was not very much interested in directly involving in Afghanistan peace process. Along with that, China always focused on ensuring peace in Afghanistan for the reason that, yes, if there is increased terrorist activities in Afghanistan, that will have some kind of spillover effect over the Central Asian nations which are having good relations with China. or border with China. Also, the spillover of these activities, extremist activities, may happen in China also. So, China is concerned about that aspect also, right. So, if we have to understand, the regional powers are also of the view that or want insurgent group to moderate its position, that is Taliban. Then concerns for India. Yes, India has been key regional backer of the democratically elected Afghanistan government, supporting Afghan-led, Afghan-owned, Afghan-controlled peace process. Always write this view, stand of India towards Afghanistan process in your answer, GS2 paper. Use these exact words. This is the official stand that we have. Afghanistan-led, Afghan-owned, Afghan-controlled peace process. Along with that, recently our External Affairs Minister has said that there is need of double peace, ensuring double peace in Afghanistan. What is this double peace? It means peace not only in Afghanistan but in surrounding region also, outside Afghanistan also. This is the double peace, the new stand that we are having here on Afghanistan peace process. Writer is also of the view that the good relations between India and Pakistan will be helpful in reducing terrorist activities and improving this peace process in Afghanistan. Any reduction in tensions between India and Pakistan, irrespective of who plays the mediator, will have indirect stabilizing effect on Afghanistan. Along with that, Pakistan has direct stake in the success of peace talks because it is aware of negative fallout of another cycle of violence in Afghanistan, unconstrained refugee flows and terror attacks inside its territories. Okay, so that's why it is in favor of Pakistan to cooperate with India, US and other such regional powers in ensuring peace in Afghanistan and surrounding region. Okay, so we have to understand such kind of question can be asked like analyze the interest and concerns involved of all stakeholders in Afghanistan peace process. You need to be aware about the stakeholders. First, US, second, Afghanistan itself or its government, third, Taliban, fourth, Pakistan, fifth, India, and then sixth, China, Iran, Russia, other regional powers in that region. Fine. So, these are the stakeholders. Surely the major stakeholder is the people of Afghanistan. Okay? Yes. Now, moving on, POCSO Act, Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act 2012. This was in news. On page number 7, there is one article regarding reforms needed in POCSO Act. Basically, it is talking about whenever the Sexual Offence Act or such kind of, let's say, offences happen at the childhood level, the child is not having that confidence, that courage to communicate about such kind of offences, such kind of instances happening with them. Along with that, largely such kind of, let's say, offences happen in the family or the relatives or the neighborhood itself. And therefore, the children are being pressurized by the perpetrator, also other family members, not to report such kind of sexual offense. So, when the child grows up, then he or she realizes that the kind of instances that happened in the childhood, this was having huge impact on the psychological, physical health of that person. Okay. And therefore, the writer is of the view that POCSO Act should provide for such kind of, let's say, instances when they are reported later after long period of time. However, at present, because of lack of, let's say, lack of any kind of proof that children may not have at that time to report such kind of sexual abuse. So, yes, they are not able to communicate all these instances. So, that is why there is need of reforms in POCSO Act. Okay, but basics about POCSO Act, this is important. Supreme Court has decided to examine whether the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act can be employed to punish teenagers for consensual physical relationship which later turns so. This is the recent context also that Supreme Court is going to reconsider the provisions of POCSO Act, whether they can be applied to such teenagers for consensual physical relationship. Okay, so this is also context, and the recent context is of reforms needed in POCSO Act. Yes, about POCSO Act aim to effectively address sexual abuse and sexual exploitation of children. Some important provisions, salient features. Yes, children are individual aged below 18 years. This is very important. All the provisions related to children below 18 years are applied under this. It is gender neutral, that is male as well as female child. When they face sexual offences, both let's say for both the provisions can be invoked. Policeman to be held as or to be the child protector during the investigation process. Okay, so here the responsibility is given to police to act as a child protector. Establishment of special courts for trial of offences under Act, and the case is disposed within 1 year from the date of reporting of offence. The implementation of provisions of Act is supervised by National Commission for Protection of Child Rights at national stage, State Commissions for Protection of Child Rights. These were established under Commission for Protection of Child Rights Act 2005. Okay, so these are the statutory bodies. These are the statutory bodies responsible for implementation of POCSO Act. POCSO Act has overriding powers over other legislations. Along with that, it is mandatory to report sexual offences by a person who is aware of such offence. That means, suppose any person in the neighborhood, relatives, family member who are aware about such kind of sexual abuse happening in front of their eyes, they have responsibility, legal responsibility to report such kind of abuse under this act. Now this is very novel feature, or we can say progressive also. It puts responsibility on the society also. Now POCSO Act was amended in 2019, and provision of death penalty in cases of sexual offences against the children. The severe punishment was added here. Levy of fines and imprisonment to curb child pornography. This is also very important. Child pornography, this offence is included under POCSO Act. Protection of children from sexual offences in times of natural calamities. This new provision is added through this amendment. Those children which are, let's say, facing the natural calamities, suppose floods are there or any earthquake happened. So the children are one of the vulnerable section during that disaster for sexual offences, sexual abuse. Okay, and therefore their protection is important. Now they are being protected under POCSO Act. Those who are facing the natural calamities also. Okay. So these are important provisions of POCSO Act. You can expect question in prelims examination. High powered panel meet to choose next CBI director. Yes, after long period of time when the director position of CBI was vacant, many times Supreme Court has also asked central government to fill that position. Now the high powered committee headed by Prime Minister and comprising Chief Justice of India and Leader of Congress in Lok Sabha met on Monday to finalize the choice of next director. This is basically the appointment committee. So yes, basics about CBI, Central Bureau of Investigation. Basically we have to understand that about CBI, Central Bureau of Investigation, Santanam Committee on Prevention of Corruption recommended establishment of CBI. CBI was then formed through the resolution of Home Affairs Ministry. Okay. So it operates at present under jurisdiction of Ministry of Public Grievances and Pension. It derives its powers through this Delhi Special Police Establishment Act 1946. So that means it is not the statutory body, it is executively created body through executive resolution of Home Ministry. Okay. However, it derives certain powers from this Act, Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. It works under the overall supervision of CVC, Central Vigilance Commission, in the matters pertaining to the Prevention of Corruption Act 1988. That means the supervision by the CVC and Lokpal when the investigation of any corruption case, when the allegations of corruptions are invoked under these provisions of Prevention of Corruption Act 1988. Okay. Otherwise, the overall supervision of the central government. Fine. Yes. Other some important provisions, like for example, CBI is India's representative body for coordination with Interpol at international level. Then it is exempted from RTI Act 2005. Then CBI is appointed for not less than term of 2 years by the appointment committee on the recommendation of selection committee. Now there are two aspects, two committees. One is a selection committee which screens different names and propose these names for the to the appointment committee, and then finally appointment committee, after shortlisting of these names, finally decide who will be the director. Now the selection committee consists of Central Vigilance Commissioner as chairperson, Vigilance Commissioners as its members, Secretary to the Government of India in charge of Ministry of Home Affairs, and then Secretary, Coordination and Public Grievances in Cabinet Secretariat. These are the members. So Central Vigilance Commissioner is the chairman of selection committee, and then the names goes to appointment committee, which finally clear the name for appointment of director of CBI. Prime Minister is chairperson of this committee. Leader of opposition in Lok Sabha is member. At present, there is no leader of opposition in Lok Sabha, and therefore the leader of Congress in Lok Sabha, the largest party in the Lok Sabha, its leader is being considered as a part of this appointment committee. And lastly, the third member is Chief Justice of India himself or Supreme Court judge recommended by Chief Justice of India as the member. You need to be aware that it is 3-member committee. Who are the members? CJI is the member of this appointment committee, not Ministry of say Home Minister or other such Union Cabinet Minister. Fine? Yes. Now COVID-19 related developments at national stage. Yes, recently one statement by Director of AIMS Delhi, mucormycosis is not communicable disease, and 90 to 95% of patients that we have with us currently are diabetics with who were on steroids. Yes, recently we discussed about mucormycosis disease, and those who are vulnerable populations, largely the diabetic patients who have been on the steroids because of severe COVID-19 disease. These are the vulnerable population, and you can see 90 to 95% of the patients are these vulnerable groups. At the same time, recently on-site registration and appointment of COVID-19 vaccination is now being enabled for 18 to 44 age group on CoWIN platform. The recent statement issued by Union Health Ministry said. However, this feature was being enabled only for government COVID vaccination centers and not private centers. Recently, Supreme Court ordered states across the country to distribute dry rations to stranded migrant workers without ration cards and run community kitchens for them. Earlier, this was directed only for Delhi and surrounding region, NCR region, for the surrounding states like UP, Haryana and Rajasthan. Now, Supreme Court has directed all states to have community kitchens for them, stranded migrant laborers, and distribute dry rations. Now, cyclone Yas related follow-up. Yes, as the storm system Yas heads towards North Odisha, West Bengal coast, several thousand people are said to be evacuated from the coastal districts of both states. Now, cyclone Yas is going to have landfall on 26th May. Tomorrow we can expect such landfall in the northern Odisha coast and West Bengal, and in future it may take recourse towards West Bengal also. For basic information about tropical cyclones. We discussed everything about tropical cyclone related to GS1 paper, mains examination and prelims examination also on 16th May 2021. The Hindu analysis, you can refer to that video for that information. Okay, yes. Some practice prelims MCQs. This is related to POCSO Act, and this particular question is related to Director of CBI Appointment Committee. You can download this document from the description of this video on YouTube. Along with that, try to solve these MCQs, and the answers are provided on daily basis along with model answer description of all these questions and other practice questions on our Telegram channel, LUKMAAN IAS Telegram channel. The link to join that Telegram channel is provided again in the description of this video. Along with that, we are also providing previous year MCQs analysis by LUKMAAN IAS faculty on daily basis from different modules. So, to receive these videos, notifications of these videos, you can either subscribe to YouTube channel or join our Telegram channel. Along with that, UPSC has postponed the prelims examination, and therefore, LUKMAAN IAS has come up with test series program. To know more about that test series program, you can contact LUKMAAN IAS. Okay, so yes, these were important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. Thank you.